Now I notify you I will no longer move the motion for adjournment, having read carefully that the vote may not be in my favor. At the declaration level of the results, given the interest of the Right Honorable. Madam Speaker, I now want to debate on principle. First, there were two concerns about VAT in the country raised by the traders. The first was the threshold, which has been dealt with in the proposal from 150 to 250. They may have other arguments. We have heard that the proposal was to go to 500. The second concern was the rate itself, because we know in some countries, including within East Africa, some VAT rates are as low as 16%. So, even 8, some, but I know of, at least I can speak authoritatively of ones I know, about 16%. In the processing of this bill, we had expected either the government or the committee to address us on those concerns. What is their take on the rate, which has been argued? Remember 2 years ago when the issues of the traders downtown came, one of the proposals they made was that VAT has to be revised from 18 downwards. And we have not had any report regarding that matter. That would be my concern. The second concern is the justification for raising it from 150 million to 250. The committee and the minister premises their argument that in 2015 was the last time that the VAT was raised. I have done simple calculations. You have not moved from 2015. Because in 2015, 150 million, if you compare to the rate, exchange rate, the dollar then, was around 3,098. And now we have about 3,700. It means for every 1 shilling of that 150 million, we now multiply by 600, which brings us to around 240. So I want to dismiss that it is not correct that you have actually improved or raised upward substantially. What you have done is just to equate the value of 150 million in 2015 to the current value, which is 250. That's why I will agree that perhaps the proposal by the minority of revising it way beyond 250 will have to suffice. The second point I would like to debate, Madam Speaker, is on the credit allowed by foreigners and Ugandan citizens under clause 4. Yes, I allow clarification. It has not done any research at all. It's the submission of the chairman. This is exactly what this committee should have done. Because my argument, and I want you to get it, is that in 2015, 150 million of 2015 is exactly 250 million today. So if your argument is that you are raising the VAT threshold, it should be beyond just compounding it to bring that value, that past value, into the present value. So for me, the 250 million now is not any different from the threshold in 2015. And that's why I wanted the government to explain, are you just merely upgrading or equating the 150 million? That's the point I was raising. Secondly, I was talking about the distinction between the foreigner and a citizen in as far as clause 3 is concerned, the principle itself. I've seen that you want to allow a credit, allowable credit, and you have set 10 million US dollars for foreigners and 5 million US dollars for citizens. Of course, this should worry foreigners, Ugandans who are soon might be called foreigners. But I don't want to go into that debate. But once you start coming into the law, and we are seeing you as bringing these terminologies between foreigners and now a citizen, and yet we know where we are heading, it should worry those who are living outside. But my point is, 18 billion shillings is not an easy amount for a citizen living here. I find it way too high. If you wish to allow a citizen who is going to construct a hotel within those 2 years, think critically. And I can ask the same question you have asked me. How many Ugandans now who will go into the hotels? Certainly Maybe we are very few here.
Thank you.
With exception of the last one, Madam Speaker.
With exception of...
Yeah, the last one is for the minister to convince us why he requires power to vary the terms and conditions as proposed. Because legislation, especially something to do with taxation, I always encourage that Parliament retains its powers 100% to be able to vary, because we are the ones accountable at the end of it all. So I see that the minister wants to have power on terms and conditions of payment of tax. These ministers, Madam Speaker, let me mention, they are not very easily accessible. I've raised it in the past. And they don't have the national outlook of things. We don't want to give ministers powers to start segmenting a certain proportion of society and favoring them by issuing this instrument, and yet others are being left. Let Parliament retain that power to be able to vary it.
Thank you. But I'm not comfortable with the so many waivers that you're asking for. You're asking for so many waivers. Why? You need to reduce on the waivers, but you can still go ahead and first answer what Honorable Odur said. No, that was a by the way.
It affects all of us. Madam Chair, at least maybe for a waiver, but which I have not asked. It is very unfortunate that the people who are getting waivers are people who have been around and big waivers. Well, there are small boys and small businessmen out there who are suffering for lack of... Okay.
I want to appreciate the observation. Indeed, it has been a concern of the committee, and we have always engaged the ministry and the Uganda Revenue Authority. Without legislating in anticipation, in the bills we are handling, you will see how, as the ministry and the URA, we've given a blanket of waiver from all the years to 2016. I was given, I cannot allow.
Secretary General, welcome back from the World Bank. We imported, your school imported sports equipment. And you had to write letters, you had to call Matia Kasaja. Minister of Finance refused to give a waiver for sports equipment. Why is that others get waivers easily if Madam Speaker cannot get a waiver? What do those people do behind the scene to get waiver?
Chair, Madam Speaker, what I was raising, I want to move an amendment that petrol stations are exempt from IFRIS. The justification, if you go to a petrol station, a motorbike person has come, he will take a liter. He pays 3,000 or 5,000. And the pumps which are there cannot issue an IFRIS. And if you try to do it, then you will maybe combine at the end of the day and issue an IFRIS, maybe in the name of a pumper tenant. A pumper tenant will be looked for by URA that he has been trading in fuel. This is because even fuel is exempt from VAT, by the way. The only thing which is there is income tax, which is total at the end of the year. And also, there's already tax on every liter of what? Of fuel. Because as soon as you sell, the tax is paid there and then. And so, Mr. Minister, I want to ask your indulgence.
Nala is talking about only the motorcycles, but you find in some petrol stations like Mandela's place, they have Javas, they have what? You get it?
Chairperson, I think we need to thoroughly understand this issue. From what I know, petrol stations are automatically connected to IFRIS. If you are City Oil, you are Shell, you're automatically in the system. And also, from what I know, if you buy fuel you are given a receipt. For me, when I put a fuel card, yes, when I put a fuel card, they give me a what? A receipt. My driver shows me a receipt. Yes. And also, I know that even if I am to personally, not a minister now, buy fuel, and I want a receipt, I can be given. So the question here is, because Honorable Mafab is saying it is difficult for border riders to account for IFRIS. Is that what you are saying? What are you saying? Because we need to understand this properly before we make a decision. Yes.
Honorable Minister, you must ask with care. Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, what we are trying to explain, there are so many services at the petrol station, and these services are not exempt from VAT. For example, if you have a supermarket, that one you have a post sale. That one goes straight on IFRIS, whether it is a cash sale or whatever. Whether you have a wheel alignment, that one is straight. But fuel is first of all exempt from VAT to begin with. It's exempt because we have tax already on it. So what happens when somebody comes to take fuel, he's given a liter, he goes off. For you, you have a card because you have already deposited money on your card. It prints every now deduction because they have that mechanism for cards. But those who don't have cards, it is not possible. So at the end of the day, if you are going to issue one IFRIS receipt, you will get the total sales of a pump attendant and issue IFRIS in the name of that pump attendant. And when you issue that receipt in the name of the pump attendant, URA will look for that pump attendant that you made the following sales or purchases. What we want to do, we want to exempt fuel from day one, like from as it is, fuel from Shell, from everywhere as it is. So that's what I'm trying to explain. What Madam Speaker raised, like Mandela wheel alignment, what those are separate. Those are goods which are vatable.
Look at it. 92 and read it. 516.
Madam Chair is saying, a taxpayer may issue an e-invoice or e-receipt or employ an electronic physical device which shall be linked to a centralized invoicing and system or a device authenticated by the Uganda Revenue Authority. Yes, that one is the post. But on the pumps, there is nowhere you can put that device. And the URA should come and justify it.
Madam Chair, the clarification I'm seeking, Madam Chair, Honorable Nandala, I thought the purpose of IFRIS is to track revenue and transaction. And anybody who purchases fuel, you must pay cash. And URA has record because will not give you fuel on credit. IFRIS. We have so many young people in Honorable Botobo's constituency. In every center, they are selling fuel in bottles and so forth. How will those one now be on? Madam Chair, I think the Minister of Finance need to drop this because and URA picks record of every OMC fuel traders in this country, and the taxes are paid instantly.
Honorable Kanya has raised a very important thing. Supplies the share of fuel. Share will supply, or both is constraint. Fuel. Now,
what do you want? How do you want amendment to be?
What we're looking at that now at both is a constraint. This person is selling the fuel which has already been given an IFRIS. But for him to be able to be safe, before URA comes to penalize him with those big, he must also issue what? An IFRIS to the border. That's where the problem is. Otherwise, the track is very clear up to the both person. So what we're trying to do is that for that type of business, of both and whatever, that one should not be really subjected to influence because he's, even by the is already accounted for. What? I don't know if you have understood. Yeah.